Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Reviews with Tyberius. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite series that has ever been made, and has just celebrated its 20th anniversary or birthday, whichever you prefer. So, again, we're going to be talking about the HBO special miniseries Band of Brothers, and I'm going to really enjoy this one. Hit it! Okay, so I've been talking to a lot of you guys about how you guys feel about the reviews, because there's a lot of people, you guys seem to like the content about what I have to say about how I review stuff, or not how I review stuff, but what I actually have to say regarding this. But on the other side of this is that, like, how it's presented sometimes isn't like what people want. Some people, want certain things than others. Here's the deal. I've been listening. I've incorporated bits and pieces from a little bit of everybody and what has been said. And so today, we're going to be trying this quite a bit differently. This is no longer going to be live streamed. Everyone largely agrees that that's a bad idea. And I'm going to try to script this to some degree, which I have my notes down below that I'll be talking to. And we're going to be trying to do some live video feed. Now, just as as a note, this is now the third time I've tried doing this review. The first time I had some issues with it because it was way too much editing, and I'm just like, no. And the second time that I tried doing it, I got copyright flagged just openly before I could even release it. So we're going to try this particular instance. We're going to see how well this one gets through, because I do want to do my reviews. I love talking about stuff like this, but if YouTube's just going to make a complete pain in the ass for me to do, I don't know why I'm going to do it. So without further ado, let's talk about Band of Brothers, because Band of Brothers is absolutely fantastic and a lot of fun. So, let's do it. Where's my button? There we go. Alright, so, Band of Brothers. What is this show? Well, it is, according to the backstory, just after Saving Private Ryan was done being produced and engaged, is that we were talking about we are talking about a lot of people got together and like, hey, we got this book. It was written in 1992 about this unit. It's the 106 Paratroop Regiment Easy Company. It's made about this particular company and the 101st Airborne. And what all this breaks down into is that they had just got done with Saving Private Ryan. They had a lot of materials left over from the filming of that. And partnering together with Tom Hanks and Home Box Office is that they said, hey, look, we're going to do this. Half the work's already done. Let's go get them. And so to a large degree, this is how this hits. So what's the story? Well, we already talked a little bit about who it's about and how it's referenced on the book. But to a large degree, this is this particular unit, Easy Company, or E Company, of this particular unit, going about from training in the United States all the way up to VJ Day, which ironically is actually in Europe. But it's largely their tour through the European theater. And I absolutely love this show for many, many different reasons. So let's get into it. Number one, the casting, the music, the visuals are absolutely amazing. As you can see here on your screen, absolutely, 20 years later, it looks fantastic. Absolutely great. Just skipping to the next one here. I love this. Everything looks amazing. It looks authentic. And while there's some historical inaccuracies, which I'll get into, a lot of this period set pieces are really good, fantastic stuff. And the actors are fantastic. Now, one of the things that I do have some questions about is some of these actors would like to see more of. But the question is, how much of it is the actors portraying these characters versus how much of it was actually intended to be the characters themselves? As an example, during right before this particular scene in the episode before, you have the characters Skip and Mancala. Or Muck and Pincala. Sorry, can't talk. But we only see them for the better part of one episode. But to a large degree, at least for me personally, is that they were very interesting characters. I love their banter. I'm like, all right, cool. Were they not in the book more? Was there more that we could have gotten with these characters? Would have liked to have seen that. But on the other side of that, it was, we're talking about some areas that are time pressed. This is 10 episodes, and it's a lot of content in, basically the better part of just 10 hours. We're going to go from training for the better part of the first episode into Normandy for the start of the second, all the way up to occupation in the final episode. So there's a lot to be had here, and I'm not going to fault this movie. This show. This is S tier stuff. We'll get into the nitty gritties here, but the sound design is fantastic, really good stuff, and I'm sure most of the stuff is literally authentic weaponry and authentic everything. So you're not going to have a lot of problems with the set pieces, a lot of the sounds, because they're real. They just might be toned down or muffled because guns are loud, if you didn't know. And the casting is actually great. Granted, I have no idea how well they match up to the real life characters and the pronunciations, but the cast commands the screen. Some of them more so than others, but they're absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's talk about historical. Actually, it's largely correct. You look at the equipment, you look at the vehicles going on. They're all real set pieces. There's very few things that people have been able to pick out that's like, well, this was actually in 1943, not in 44. Stuff like that. It's very nitpicky shit. You're watching this, you're seeing tigers engage, you're seeing all these people go about what they're doing. And almost all of it is authentic to the degree. And where it's not, it's, very easy stuff to miss for the most part. You see the vehicles, they're period set vehicles. I don't even think they have a tiger running IRL when this movie is done. So if they the scene with the tiger that they actually engage with is either a mock-up that looks incredibly realistic or is they actually did find a way to get a working tiger for a quick minute, which is awesome. You see a Jagdpanther, you see a Marder 38T, I think. You see multiple German units, you see Shermans that are all period set pieces. These are all wonderful, and even with me having the knowledge that I am, none of these are outside of the period set pieces to where, okay, the tiger is within range. I don't see an Easy 8 on Normandy, which was something that wouldn't have happened. And so to a large degree, I'm not getting Patton vibes where I'm like, why am I watching M41 Walker Bulldogs engage with M47 Pattons, which are all made by Americans post-war? Like, what is this? So if you guys ever watched the 1970 movie Patton or what have you, you guys can see where historical inaccuracies can absolutely take point, and you see to a large degree where people will take the expedient of having a tank but not actually having the right tank because it looks cool. And so I really love this show for this, is that it portrays history very well, and while I can nitpick some things here, not terribly bad. The one thing I do want to hit in particular is the things that they got wrong, particularly with not necessarily the characters, but the real life people. The first one is Private Blythe. He is listed at the end of his episode, and I believe this is episode 3, that he would be wounded at just outside of Bellecour Manor, and he would never recover from his wounds and die in 48. That was wrong. According to the records that I've seen and people have been brought up from fans, is that he actually would serve with distinction in another unit later on in the war after recovering from getting shot, and he actually will retire as quite a big deal. I think he retires as like an E7, but he'll serve in the military for quite a significant amount of time after the war and make a good accounting of himself. And there's some other things that happen on with his life that is very influential, not on a massive level, but he's quite a noteworthy guy. The other thing here is that it's Lieutenant Dyke. Is portrayed in a very poor manner. Now, apparently, from most of the people in his unit, they didn't get along with Dyke, and I understand that. But according to his military record, he is not remotely portrayed correctly in the show. Supposedly, he would disappear from moments on a time. I cannot confirm or deny that. I am going to suspect that that's largely the unit, saying bad things about a person they don't like. But two big things here. One, he is commended for his actions during Operation Market Garden, which we don't see. And when he is transferred into Easy Company Command, is that he is shown to be a coward in the attack on Foy, and he not coward, but he basically breaks down, can't command what's going on, and eventually Spears has to come in and take over. Spears does eventually take over the unit, but the reason why, according to military records, according to what I have been able to find, is that, in a nutshell, Dyke is actually wounded during the fight. He actually takes a round to the shoulder, and he is not necessarily completely incapacitated physically, but he's mentally incapacitated mentally. that he can no longer lead the troops into battle because he's wounded. I don't know if you all been shot. I haven't, but I hear it's a wonderfully great affair that you can just keep on trucking and nothing ever happens to you. Obviously, that's a joke. Apparently, according to the records, Dyke actually took a pretty serious injury when he was shot, and by the time that he had actually recovered to a large degree, the war was more or less over. But he actually serves with distinction and valor through most of his career, according to military records. And so I want to make a point on that one, because if that is the case, I feel bad the way that Band of Brothers portrayed him. And I believe the family has actually tried to sue HBO regarding that, but I cannot confirm nor deny that 100%. So what else do I want to talk about? Well, one of the things I really like about this one, this is more off script, but going with things that I really care about, is how this show is portrayed. So the first episode is largely all about, the first episode is all largely about, how do I put this? First episode is all largely about the unit, and it's largely focusing on them. It doesn't focus on any particular person. Maybe Soloable if you're getting into that, but I'm not really too terribly worried about it. The last episode kind of has the same thing going for it. Each episode before that usually has one character that's, before that, but in between largely has one character point of view. Now, I would say episode 2 doesn't really have that, but you're tagging along with winners to a large degree. Episode 3, Private Blythe. Episode 4, I'm pretty sure was, Captain Winters at this point, going about and leading his troops into battle, and it's very much focused on him. There's a few where I get lost in between it, but the staff sergeant Lipton is a focal character for one. You have Doc. Can't remember what the doctor's name is, but the field medic is the focal point for another. Wonderful episode. You have yet another one where is focused around Webster, and I think this is episode 8 or episode 9, where he is a replacement from the unit originally, but he had been out since largely Operation Market Garden because he was injured, and now he comes back, and he's missed the Battle of Bastogne, and he's not even seen as a full member of the unit anymore because half of his friends that he was training with back in Toccoa are no longer a part of the unit because Bill Garnier and Joe Toy had their legs blown the hell off. And you have all these other replacements that have, kind of earned their spot in the unit and to a large degree. And so he's really out of place. He's familiar, but he's not quite there. And I absolutely love so many of these character moments, including what you're seeing here in the clips being displayed on screen, where you see how things are portrayed. And I actually really enjoyed the speech that you're seeing right now, where they're listening into this German general's speech, and it's so relatable for them. It actually does show the humanity of warfare, where and I love what Shifty Power says, the old man version of him during the interview, is that they were a lot like us. I'm sure we could have been good friends in a different time. I absolutely adore that, and I love the humanity of that, but it also shows the absolute inhumanness of war too, when this unit discovers a concentration camp, and you see the absolutely horrible, wretched state that these people are in. I don't know how the actors did it, but you see how these people are not treated like people at all. And the fundamental question that results after the war is, how can humans who claim to be good people do this to other humans, even with all the racial superiority and the class divisions and all the shit that's happening at the time? Is that there's a fundamental question that is asked in the post-war years, and that is, what does it mean to be human, and where does that commonality lie? And you see a fundamental change in how people start to interpret the human condition between before the war and after, where you have some of the most basically all the worst atrocities in human history, from the Holocaust to the rape of Nanking to the internment of Japanese Americans domestically, but also in that when you have the Germans invade the Soviet Union, 3 out of 20 people will die in the Soviet Union. These are total wars that they're supposed to bring the extinction of entire peoples. And humanity has to reckon with that in a very fundamental way in what is going on. And that's a huge deal that we that while isn't addressed in the show, definitely you see the impact of that in the World War II era, where we realize what humanity can do in its darkest hours, and it's some nasty ass shit. But there's also so many other things here that are very human, very real about what's going on, and that is you see these people have very realistic parts, and of course you have an execution here that you're seeing on screen, and that is incredibly powerful as well. There's a lot of very human moments that you get to understand. You see this guy is freaking out. He's like, wait, he's a replacement and has no idea what is going on. He's getting a fresh paint of the horrors of war, where you just see some guys who can't defend themselves executed. But you also see where, some of these guys are jaded. Some of these guys are absolutely kind of dehumanized in the regard that they are insensitive to the suffering of other people. And so there is so much I can get into regarding all of this, but I think that these characters are portrayed very well. The acting is very, very, very good, and so you have what eventually will be major winners: Lipton, Bill Garnier, Albert Blythe. All of these people are portrayed in their memorable Shifty Powers right there. It's fantastic in the way that it is, and they're rememberable. I can watch this show and I can remember characters, I can remember names, and I care about these people. And I openly am like, all right, cool, what happened to this guy? And you look them up on Wikipedia and whatnot. Oh, this person died, this person, disappeared, this person, succumbed to their injuries, all these other things. It's very interesting. And you can also track all the way from, Tekoa. You see folks like Bill Garnier, who is an absolutely wonderful character, but also very interesting. You can definitely tell that the actor portrays him from the interviews pretty well. And so I really enjoy the series. I can sing its praises pretty much all day, but I'm just going to rant and repeat myself. In a nutshell, Band of Brothers, excellent series. Happy 20th birthday or anniversary to Band of Brothers. I'm sorry I'm a month behind, but hey, I didn't really realize it was that old already. The one thing I did want to make for that I completely forgot from this particular review part was how much it mattered. And that was the first episode went live September 9th, 2001. And of course, we all know what happened 2 days later. This series is showing at its first run during the fallout of September 11th. And I believe that this show did ingrain itself into the national ethos to some degree, where it ingrains itself to the national ethos to some degree because it shows America in one of its darkest hours, and there is something to be related to during the post 9/11 days, where this is kind of one of those things that Americans need to be inspired on. Hey, we've been through bad crap before. We can do it again. We've made sacrifices. We've suffered through a lot of these things, and in a nutshell, we can do it again. I think this series cultivated itself into the national fervor because it literally dropped at the exact right time when it needed to be inspiring to Americans and be influential in the way that it is. And without further ado, I'll probably end on that note. Wonderful series, well done. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's absolutely great. And until next time, I've been Tyberius G, and I hope you guys have a good one.